which they got from trade routes through the Texas and the Southwest. And those wound up being three main crops. So if you were a Mississippian boy in a village just west of Petit Jean Mountain, and you got up, you said, "What can I do today?" Mom might say, "Well, go down to the cornfield and throw rocks at the crows so they won't eat too much corn." And later in the day, you might practice hunting with a spear or a bow and arrow when those became available. And as you grew older, you might accompany some of the people in the village just west of Petit Jean Mountain up here. Maybe go to the Rock House Cave, where we can camp out, have a thing we might think of as a retreat, and spend time with your people and hear stories being told that you would remember all your life. That's kind of how the Mississippian period was. Do we still have that picture from the Rock House Cave in the Mississippian village? We'll look at one, an artist's rendition of one anyway, best guess. They built little houses out of wood structures, straw, and daubed them with mud, and good windbreaks. Some of them were two-story houses. And these Mississippian people sometimes aligned the paths through their village with directions, like north and south and east and west. And they were probably pretty close-knit because they had to be to survive. Everybody that was born and healthy had a job. And they were valued. The little guy who was throwing rocks at the crows was valued. And if he killed a rabbit with his bow and arrow in the afternoon, he could bring it in and say, "Look, I got it." Everybody say, "Good job. We'll put it in the cookbook." So among the beans and squash and corn, there was wild game of all kinds. Archaeologists find this stuff out mostly through trash pits, where they threw trash. They find remnants of what was eaten for dinner. Now, I don't have any bison today. I don't have any elk. I don't even have any venison. We're just going to kind of do a vegetarian version here. But one of the main things I wanted to get across with this program, and we could pass this around if you'd like, this is just kind of an artist's rendition of Mississippians. Some other things here. If you went on the tour with Matt this afternoon, you know that they drew things to accompany storytelling or whatever reason they drew that represented their lives. And archaeologists find that very interesting. Try to, I'm going to use a big word, extrapolate their culture, their value system into our own and find ways that we can do things better and point out things for us that we might be able to find ways to do things better too. I have something very valuable on this table. I don't want everybody to mob me or anything. To a Mississippian, what I have here on this table was more valuable than gold. Let's just use our imaginations a minute. Let's say I've got a big, pure piece of gold here. It's shiny. It's impervious to rusting or anything. It's really pretty. It's heavy. It's heavier than lead. And I have something like this in the other hand. And I say, I'm going to give you a choice. You can have the gold or you can have this. Theirs wasn't itemized. But this is your choice. What do you think a Mississippian Indian would choose? Salt. Throw the gold away and take the salt. Because this was extremely hard for them to find. They were salt-starved, salt-deficient people all their lives. And they found ways over years to find salt out there in nature. Does anybody know how to do that? You can go down to Florida and make a decent saline plant and get water out of the ocean and make salt from that. Like we do today, we got it down today. We got too much salt.
Mm-hmm. An unhealthy amount.
Sorry?
An unhealthy amount of salt, I think. Unhealthy amount of salt.
Unhealthy amounts, yes. Does anybody have grandkids who like salt?
Yes.
My granddaughters will take a bowl of popcorn and dump salt on it, it goes down to the bottom, and they finish eating the popcorn, they'll lift their finger and then eat the salt. And the boy said, don't do that. It's way too much salt. Don't do that. These people found springs in Arkansas in different places. Say they lived west of Petit Jean Mountain and they wanted some salt. They had to walk for sometimes a few weeks at a time to find a spring where the water came up out of the earth and it flowed through a salt layer underneath. And it came up kind of salty. They called them brackish springs. And the water wasn't good for drinking, but they figured out they could get salt from that water, and they would carry these pots over their shoulders, walk over the landscape. And they would also carry these big stones with them that they could put 2 sticks on and put in a fire. They built fires, they heated stones, and they put the cooked pots on the fires, and they poured them full of water from the spring, and they just boiled the water until the water was gone, and there was a residue left in there to be scraped out and carefully packaged and preserved. And they would work for weeks at that, sometimes. It would go for months getting salt. Package it up, bring it back to the village, and everybody go, yeah, they're back with the salt. Good job. Again, good job. And they could trade with it if they had surplus with other villages. Other villages, we don't have much salt. Can we trade something? Yes. And that became a source of, it was a monetary substance. You know, Romans got paid in salt back when Rome was in its glory days. We have expressions like, hey, he's not worth his salt, because that's what the soldiers were paid with. If they were lazy or something, they weren't worth his salt. So, this evening, thinking about some of those things on Archaeology Day, I kind of heated up some squash and beans and corn. And they don't have any salt. And I want you to just try these without salt and see how you like it. No? You know, I went in Walmart last night and I was thinking, I need to get some squash and cook it tonight, the night before I do this program, because it might take a while. So I went down there, and the produce guy was working and had his buggy out, and I went up and I said, do you have any kind of squash that might resemble the squash that the Mississippians may have used around 800 AD? You know how he looked at it. And he looked this way and that way, like this is one of those candid camera things. I'm trying to get my reaction. But all they had was zucchini and calabasa. So I said, okay, calabasa is squash, so we'll use calabasa. So it's kind of a green squash. And what I'm going to do is let you all come up, and I'm going to put spoons in each one of these. Maybe this one for the corn. And just kind of put all 3 together here in a little paper plate. And there's some plastic spoons here. I've also got some water and cups here if you get thirsty. And help yourselves. And see what you think. After you eat a little bit of this without salt, I've got some salt. And you can put salt on the rest of it if you like. So, it's veggie night in the Mississippian village.
Okay, I'm not afraid.
These bowls.